Hello and welcome to Crescent Podcast. I'm your host, Lucy Jesse, and I run Crescent Digital Marketing, where I provide digital marketing services for neurodivergent led businesses. A quick shout out to our fantastic sponsor, Purple Frog Signs. They've got a lovely nice new logo. Check them out for all your signage needs at purplefrogsigns.com, and they are on Instagram and LinkedIn. So please go and give them a follow. Today, I'm joined by the fabulous Kathy Hayman from Better Minds, Better Business. And her work centers on helping people in business gain clarity, focus, and freedom through mindset shifts and conscious living principles. Welcome to the podcast, Kathy. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for having me on.
No, I'm delighted you're here. So, why don't we start at the beginning? Tell us a bit about your background and what led you to starting Better Minds, Better Business.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the short version because otherwise we could be here for a week and nobody will want to listen to that. So, um, my background back in the day, I worked for Citibank. I left there when I was 28 to start an event management business, which when I look back was a little bit crazy, but it worked and it was good until 9/11, and that really
Right.
had a massive impact on our business. And at the time, I was also I met my husband and he joined me in the business and we were going through a divorce. So it was kind of like, you know, wasn't going great because of 9/11 and then the divorce. So, and I have to say, the day I made 9 staff redundant was one of the most horrible days of my life. And it's, through all of the iterations of my business life, there's those ups and downs and the challenges, which is what really inspires me to want to help other business owners. And we'll kind of get to that bit in a minute. But
Sure.
so I started a consultancy business and I was doing lots of work and I worked with a company that were dealing with overseas property. They were building big developments in Spain and Cyprus. And I spent a lot of time traveling. And at that time, I'd got 2 young teenage kids that I was now bringing up on my own and dealing with the emotional fallout of the divorce. I'm very happy to say that many years on, my ex-husband and I are really good friends. And
That's,
it is
that's
possible to come out of a divorce
like
and be friends.
to hear that because that's often not the case.
And part of my story, it really did have an impact on
Mm.
how I was able to deal with that for myself and in my communication with him. And I know that had a big part to play in where we are today. We spend all family occasions together. My son got engaged last week. And
Oh, congratulations. How
thank
exciting.
you. It was exciting. So we all had a family gathering up in Clapham where they live, and Martin's there, and everybody just gets on. And my partner now, and he plays snooker together. And people tell us it's weird, but it's good weird, and we love it.
I do see it happening more, like especially at the school where my kids are. Like a lot of the parents, and it's all very much like a blended family
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, and that is ours really. So we're happy with that. But at the time, it was quite tricky.
Of course.
um, and I was in a place where I was working really hard, and I was managing the kids, and my parents were getting to the point where they needed more care. And that thing of life, whether you've got a job or whether you run a business, that you're juggling many things. And I think a lot of the time that juggling lands more on the females than it does on the men. I'm not going to generalize, but so,
Yeah.
yeah, and I really wasn't very happy with my life at all. And I went out to Cyprus, and I was on the verge of burnout, and a couple of things had happened that had made me realise that I really needed to stop. And I just was in a place of I can't stop. It's all on me. I've got to keep going. I've got to keep managing everything. I've got to manage the business, manage the kids, manage my Anyway, I went out to Cyprus, and friend of mine that I used to stay with there, she said to me, I booked a massage for you. I think it'd be really nice. I've got a friend that does massage and something called Reiki that I'd not even heard of at the time. And I went for this massage session and Rosemary was lovely. And we didn't speak through the whole thing, but I cried through the whole thing. And at the end of it, she said to me, "You need some help." She said, "I've got a friend back in the UK who's a coach and I think she might be able to help you." And I was like, okay. But this was before Zoom. And she's like, "I don't know where she lives in relation to you because if it's, don't tend to do it on the phone." So, okay. Got home, rang the amazing Lynn, and it turned out she lived in the next village to me.
Wow.
So that was
Oh,
meant
well.
to be.
Yeah.
And it was almost that thing that once we make a move towards wanting to make a change, suddenly solutions
Yeah.
come in our path, you know. And I worked with Lynn for the next 2 years, and she helped me to change my life. And I took responsibility for my life. I stopped being a victim. I stopped blaming everything and everybody else, and really, really changed my view. And during that time, she had this big bookcase, and it was full of all sorts of self development books. And I'm an avid reader, so I made my way through the entire bookcase in the time that
Wow.
I was working with her. And there was an author that she had a few of his books called Dr. Wayne Dyer. I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever come across him. He was a really inspirational, motivational speaker back in the day. He's not with us anymore, but of course his material is still here. And one of his sayings that has always stuck with me, and I've always used it in my own coaching since then, is change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. So you probably won't be able to see this, but my sweatshirt has the quote on
Yes.
it. We'll come back to that in a minute as to why
Yes.
that's a thing. Um, and that really was what it was about for me. You know, I've got to change the way I look at things. And when I did that, everything started to change. And I get the consultancy business going for a while. And then I thought, you know, I want to do something different. And I trained as a coach myself because it was such a game changer for me. I wanted to be able to help other people with that. So I trained as a coach and then did NLP practitioner. You familiar with NLP?
I do, but just in case someone listening or watching isn't
Yeah, so
sure.
neuro linguistic programming. And it really is all about the language that we use that affects the way we think and the way that we communicate and all of that. So loved that. That was a game changer as well. Started coaching, had a few illness challenges in the family. This was 2020. We went into COVID, all sorts of things had gone on. And I met another coach later that year who we realized that we were sort of on the same wavelength. And over the course of the next couple of years, we decided that we wanted to create an app to share a lot of the tools and resources that we had found useful ourselves and used in our coaching and seen the difference it made. And we engaged with a local business who said they could help us with it. And to cut a long story short, within a year, we suddenly found out that they hadn't been able to do what they said they could do.
Oh,
And we didn't have anything. And it cost us a lot of money, like
ouch.
individually tens of thousands of pounds. So it was a big loss. And and at that time, so in that period of time, my mum had passed away. My very elderly 97-year-old grandma had passed away. My
God.
dad passed away, and then my best friend passed away.
Oh my gosh.
And we found out about the business 3 days before my friend Coral passed. So there was a lot going on. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and I can honestly say to you, Lucy, that if I didn't have the skills and the tools and resources that I've learned as a result of my own journey and my own training, I don't know whether I would have been able to cope with it in the way that I've been able to, you know. And that doesn't mean it wasn't hard, but it just means that I had lots of things I could call upon to help me. And I am absolutely blessed with a wonderful group of friends and family and my wider network of community through networking and all of those
Yeah.
kind of things that, you know, it's you realize how much you need that when you're going through those tough times. And the thing
Right.
about it is we all go in those cycles, don't we? It happens to all of us. It's
Yeah.
nobody goes through life without anything happening to them. And it's for me, it's that thing of when someone else is going through a tough time, we help them. And then when
Mm.
we're going through a tough time, they help us. And I don't think we can really get through those times without, without that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know how that resonates with you. But
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think if obviously I've gone through things in my life, but not in obviously the same way you have. And I don't think I've got any of the resources to deal with what you went through. So does make me think like, what would I do? How could I help myself
Mm.
um, in those sorts of situations with all that grief, really, like not just with the people in your life who passed, but with the app and the business and that
Yeah.
side of it. Just that's all grief, and that's so intense.
Yes, and there was that period immediately after it happened, we were like, okay, now what does this mean? What do we do? And we took a bit of time out, and, it's that thing of, you go through these cycles of, how stupid were we? We didn't see that coming. We should have known. We should have realized all of that. But then being able to go, hang on a minute, all of us as people, as human beings, we do the best we can with what we've got
Yes.
available to us at the time. And
Mm,
there is no benefit in keep hanging on to that judgment, you know, and also blaming them. Now, yes, it was their fault. There was no two ways about that. What they did was terrible. But
mm,
to keep on blaming them meant we stayed where we were.
yeah.
So it's that thing of saying, okay, it happened, put it behind us, because if
Yeah.
we don't, we can't move forward. And if we
Yeah.
say, okay, there has to be a solution, then it will come our way. And
Mm,
surely enough, a few weeks later, we were at a networking event and we bumped into the amazing Zoe Cairns. Um,
yes.
and she was asking us how things were going, and we told her. And she came up to me a bit later and she said, Kathy, I keep thinking about what's happened for you. I think I might be able to help you. Do you want to have a chat? And we ended up having a meeting, and she showed us another way that we could launch it, not through an app, but through a third
Okay.
party platform. And 6 weeks later, we launched it.
Oh, wow.
And if you'd have asked me if that was possible, I would have gone, well, no,
Yeah.
I don't know. So again, it was another time where the right person came in at the right time, and only because you're open to looking for solutions.
Yeah.
Because all the while we stay in that stuck place of, oh my God, this is terrible. This is,
Yes.
this is a problem. There's no way out. You can't see the way out, and you can't be open to the
Yeah.
things that along to help you. So we launched, and that was great. And then a few weeks later, Amanda became unwell. She was my business partner, and she had to take some time off. It wasn't anything that was, serious, but it was something she had to work through.
Yeah.
So in that time, Zoe asked me to speak at her ZC Live event, which I did, and she said, I want you to tell your story. So told the story, got a really good reaction to it. There's nearly 400 people at that event, and I haven't
Yeah.
spoken in front of a group like that for a very long time, since my event management days. And it was a bit scary, but it was good.
Yeah.
I loved it, and got a really great response. And a couple of people came up to me and said, could we talk to you about having this in our business? And I'm like, yeah, we can talk about that. So that seed was kind of sown at that point.
Yeah.
And then a couple of weeks later, Amanda came to me and said, I've decided I don't want to carry on. So then I had to make a decision, and I totally respected it. She had
Yeah.
to do what was right
Yeah.
for her, but it then put me in a place of, what am I going to do? What
Mm,
decisions am I going to make? And because of all the support around me, so many people saying, you can't give up, you've got to keep going, you can do this,
yeah.
that I was like, okay, I can do this. And January last year, I met a lady called Susie Warren Smith. Don't know if you've come across her. She's a
I
business
haven't.
mentor for women in business.
Oh,
And
okay.
I worked with her for a few months, and she helped me to identify that what we had created actually wasn't what we needed, and
Okay.
that there was a bigger way to look at this. And she opened my perspective, changing the way you look at things. She opened my
Mhm.
perspective to a different way of looking at it, which is what's brought us to where we are now. So it was about helping small businesses to look after the well-being of the owner and the well-being of the staff, so that you've got a strong, resilient, happy workforce, which
Yes.
adds a lot to your bottom line. It actually makes you money. So we've spent the last year pretty
Pretty
much
much.
building what we've got now. I got a couple of guys that came on board with me. They approached me and said, we'd really like to work with you on the tech side of this. That was brilliant. Didn't see that coming, a few other things where the pieces of the puzzle have just sort of fallen into place.
Yeah.
Um, and so what we have now is, it's kind of like it's a membership, and it's like a package that gives businesses, and we're aimed at the SME market, the small, medium sized
Yeah.
businesses. Don't get me wrong. If a big company came to me, I'm not going to turn them away, but that's kind of not where my focus is.
Yeah. Sure.
So one of the things we discovered is that all business owners who employ staff have a legal obligation to have in place a workplace stress risk assessment.
Yeah.
And 75% of small businesses in the UK don't have it.
I can believe that.
And they don't have it because they either don't know that they have to, because these things are not, the day you employ your first person, nobody sends you a letter to say you need this, you
Yeah.
know? So they either don't
So
know they've got to have it, or even if they do, they don't know how to go
yeah.
about it, because it's not just about having the piece of paper that says, here's our risk assessment. It's about evidencing that you have that support in place. And for a lot of business owners at the moment, they're too busy trying to keep their head above water, pay the
Mm,
bills, pay the wages, overwhelm, all of those things,
yeah.
that it's easy to go, I'll deal with that later.
Yes, definitely.
However, the impact of that could be huge. So if you
Yeah.
ever do get investigated by the HSE, not only do you pay them to do the investigation at
Ah.
£183 a day,
Ooh,
you
ouch.
you then stand the potential of getting a nasty fine.
Yeah.
And the research that we did, we came across a case study that the HSC talk about of a business owner who'd got 9 staff. She was struggling herself. She wasn't managing them very well. One of them was always off sick, didn't feel that he was heard, and ended up reporting her to the HSE. They came in and
Oh,
investigated, and not only did she have to pay for that, but it cost her £12,000 in a fine. So just from that perspective, and that's not what floats my boat. I mean, I get that this is a requirement. We've got to tick the boxes, but it's
yeah.
actually about, if we then support our staff and we look after ourselves, we're never in that position. And actually, our business will thrive and our people will thrive. So the other elements of what we provide, so we do the risk assessment piece, but we also then have an online portal full of lots of tools and resources that
Okay.
people can access. And it's videos and PDFs and quizzes and all sorts of different things. There's what we call our reset library, and it's full of little audios that when somebody's feeling stressed, they can take some time out, listen to an audio and balance themselves again.
Okay.
All sorts of different topics and stuff like that in
Mm,
there. So it's giving people that 24/7 on demand access to something, and it's
yeah.
confidential. Because what we found is in our research that a lot of people don't want to access these resources if their boss knows about it, because they
Yeah.
think it will mean they're showing a weakness, and what impact will that have? Now, of course, if you've got a very culturally, psychologically safe business, nobody would feel like that anyway. But unfortunately, people do feel like that. So giving them access to that confidentially ticks a number of
Oh,
boxes, really. And there's a section for owners and a section for staff. So
okay.
we're not just looking after the staff, we're looking after the owners as well. What's it like to manage, to run a business? How do you manage stress? What do you need to consider? What support do you need? Because it's hard. You're a
Mm,
business owner. It's like
yeah.
everything's on your plate.
Yes, very much so.
Every decision you have to make is ultimately down to you. And making decisions. Is this the right thing? And then when you put staff in the mix, it becomes a whole different cauldron of stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, the thought of employing someone genuinely terrifies me
And
because
a lot of businesses never progress to their full potential for that exact reason, because
yeah.
they're scared of employing people.
Yeah. I just think there's if I was going to do it, I want to do it right. I want to make sure I'm jumping through all the hoops, I'm ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, it is a lot to think about, and it's a big responsibility. So when
Mm.
I take myself back to the day I made 9 staff responsible, my biggest thing was, I cried for days, because it was like, I I am responsible for these people's income and their livelihood.
Yeah.
And I know ultimately there's nothing I can do about it, and they'll all have to go and get other jobs, but it's not a place you ever want to be,
No.
and it's very stressful. So that's that part of it. The next bit is that we have a directory of what we call providers. So they're coaches, counselors, therapists,
Okay.
cover a whole range of different areas. So grief, divorce, menopause, ADHD,
Yeah.
as well as leadership, sales,
Yeah.
people that can offer communications, all of the things
Yeah.
that can cause stress within a business. Because the fact of the matter is, we're all human beings and we all have a life outside of work. So what happens outside of work impacts us in work, and vice
Of
versa.
course. Of course it does. Yes.
So it's having access to people that can support if those situations arise. I was talking to somebody yesterday who said um, the business that he works in, there is a member of staff who has gone through a bereavement situation and is really, really struggling and wants to come into work and talk to the boss about it every day. And he said, we're not equipped to deal with this. And it doesn't matter how supportive we want to be, how empathic we want to be, we don't have the skills to support that person in that situation. And we don't know where to go to help them. So here you are. Here's included in your membership package is access to the person that can help you with that.
Is there the membership, is it like tiered? So you've got
Yes.
different levels. Okay.
Yeah. So you've basically got 3 different levels that give you different benefits and give you discount off of these extra services that are paid
Okay.
for. And then it's priced per size of business.
Sure.
So there's like 5 or 6 different categories that, if you fall in the 6 to 20 employees, then you pay this much and whatever. So how that works. And again, a person can access that confidentially if they need to. So if they don't want their boss to know, they can access it, they can pay for it themselves, and they still get the discount that applies to that business. Alternatively, a boss might say, if you've got an issue with anything and you need someone from this directory, you let us know, we'll either pay for it or we'll subsidize it. So it's flexible just to give it, everybody access to it really.
Yeah, that's incredibly inclusive.
Yeah, and that was the intention really, because what we know is we did a lot of research around EAPs, which are employee assistance programs that nobody uses. They're really cheap, but they're cheap because they're an insurance-based product and
Okay.
nobody uses them. And one of the reasons they don't use them is because they tend not to be confidential and they don't want their boss to know that they're using it. Or
Okay.
it's only reactive, there's nothing proactive. So from our perspective, everything that we put in the portal is to try and help people to build their strength and their resilience and their mindset so that they are able to deal with the things in life that come along. But if they are struggling, there's someone that can help you with it,
Mhm.
And then the 4th bit is the training side of things, which is soft
Okay.
skills. So that situation we hear about where somebody's really good at their job, they get put into a management position because they're good at their job with no training and no support, and they haven't got a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those situations can end very badly, and a lot of stress is created, not just for the person, but the people they work with, and then ultimately for the business owner.
Yes.
And there are so many of those kind of situations that can arise that business owners don't know how to deal with, or they don't know where to go and get the help. So we do leadership, management, communications, sales, navigating conflict, having difficult conversations, like dealing with change, redundancy
Yeah.
training, like all the
So
areas that you can think of that might cause stress within a
yeah.
business that you can get coaching or training for that either prevents it becoming a problem or deals with it if it is.
So do you do those? Is that an online thing or do you do it in person? Does it?
So it's very flexible again.
Okay.
So within the membership, we run, and all levels of membership get this, quarterly lunch and learn sessions, which are online. So it
Okay.
might be around a specific topic or whatever. And I would call one of my providers to come in and co-host that with me because we're focusing on an area that's specific to them. Because, of course, I don't provide all of this myself. I am a mindset coach and NLP practitioner in the directory, and I'm very happy to coach anyone. And I still coach people and I love it. But obviously, I can't do everything. So I have my other providers. But we
Mm.
also will run at the middle and the top tier a bespoke training session. So you choose the topic and it's for
Mm.
your staff. And we can do that online or we can come in and do it on your premises.
Wow.
And we plan to run workshops, sort of publicly in that sense.
Yeah.
We're running workshops, invite businesses in, and it's a way to tell them about the membership and what that includes. And a guy I was talking to yesterday who's in the construction industry, which has the highest rate of suicide in all industries.
Yes.
And it's rising every year. And it's
Mm.
full of big burly men that don't want to talk about this stuff. But actually, he was saying, as a business owner, for the investment that this is, to be able to say to someone, if they're struggling with something, you can go and access that and nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
It's there, you've got it. Or to
Mm.
say, I've got this situation that's going on within my business and I haven't got a clue how to deal with it. Can I access one of your trainers, one of your coaches? It's
Yeah.
kind of like, why would you not, when it's here it is all packaged up for you
Yeah.
and you just access what you want when you want it.
You've thought of everything from the sound of it.
Well, I'm sure it will evolve. And I kind of
Mm.
want it to evolve. Things will come up, or a client might say, do you do this? And we go, no, but we could.
Yeah.
Or actually, that bit isn't working. Let's change it and make it different. We had to start with something, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, every bit of what we do is available out there in their individual pieces.
Mm.
You can go and find trainers and coaches and counselors and,
Yeah.
you can get someone to do your risk assessment. But for me, it was about providing this in a package that helps with that overwhelm of where do I go to fix this? Or where do
Mm.
I go to prevent it? How do I build a culture of psychological safety, resilience,
Yeah.
happiness, productivity? How do I build that? And here it is. Here's the answers.
Is it suitable for solopreneurs as well? Because
Yes,
it's
there
like
is a
someone like me.
solopreneur option. Yeah, absolutely.
So, as an NLP practitioner, can you give me an example of a technique that someone like me or a solopreneur could use right now without necessarily needing a coach? Something to like break through a block that they might be having?
Oh, goodness me, that's a question because there's so many different things you can use. Well,
Sorry.
okay, no, absolutely. So the one that springs to mind is that thing of, the monkey mind where all those negative thoughts are coming in. So we judge ourselves, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this. This is going to be too hard. They're better than me. Why would somebody do this with me? And, we all have a bit of that because it's part of who we are as people. But for me, one of the biggest things is the awareness. Awareness is the key. So it's
Okay.
that thing of being, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this before, but there's kind of like a cycle. So what we believe influences what we think. What we think is what makes us feel. How we
Yep.
feel influences our actions. Our actions then drive the results that then go back to feed the original belief if
Okay.
we don't break the cycle. And
Yep.
that is just about neuro-linguistic stuff. It's how our brains work. So you know that thing when you buy a new car and
Yep.
let's say you've bought a yellow beetle, suddenly you've never seen a yellow beetle on the road and they're everywhere. That is your brain, your reticular activating system that is looking for the evidence of what you are thinking about to stop you
Okay.
thinking you're going mad. Okay, it's how our brains are wired.
Okay.
But the more we have that negative self-talk, the
Mm.
more we reinforce that loop and we believe it. And then guess what happens? That's what we experience.
Yeah.
So it's about an understanding of that so that when you find yourself in a place where you feel bad, you can go, hang on a minute, I don't like the way I feel. Stop. What am I thinking? What am I actually thinking? And then you can identify what those negative thoughts are. It's like, where does that belief come from? And actually, and the biggest question, is it true? Is it true that I'm not as good as everybody else? No. Is it true that I can't do this? No. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you ask that,
Yeah. 100%.
is
Yeah.
it true? You then go, hang on, well, okay. If it's not true, what could it mean?
Mm.
And that doesn't mean that you go from, I can't do this to, I absolutely can, and I'm going to do it right now. But what
Mhm.
it does is it opens your mind. It's this, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. It's exactly what that is. So you then are able to look at things differently and go, okay, even if all I'm going to do is be aware of the opposite of what I'm thinking or the opportunities or the potential, then you start to see the evidence of that and the things start to come into your life. It's magical, Lucy. It's
I had a conversation with myself kind of along those lines earlier this week. I was very much having negative thoughts about anything, not in a very good place. And then I ended up kind of going, not full circle, but like a 180 of like talking myself around, like, no, because look at what you've done, X, Y,
Absolutely.
Z. But yeah, it's very easy to fall into that. It's that phrase, the negative things are always easier to believe than the positive.
Always. And also if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. Henry Ford
Yeah,
said that many, many
yeah.
years ago, and it's absolutely true. Because if you think you can't do something, your
Mm,
actions won't allow you to be able to do it. And it's not conscious. It's not like that. It's not that you choose to not do the things that are
yes.
going to stop you achieving what you want. You just can't because that's what your brain's doing. But when you go, actually, I can do this. I don't know how I can, but I can. Then your
Yeah,
brain starts to go, okay, you can do this. Let's go and find what we need
yeah.
to help us to do it.
It's so interesting. I think I could end up talking to you for hours about this.
We could talk about it for hours, to be honest with you, Lucy, because it's so amazing.
Yeah. So, you've mentioned your jumper quite a few times, and
Yeah,
obviously, like, really, really important. I have talked about it on the podcast before, but you're an angel for the Stronger Together Through Cancer
I
CIC.
am.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so it's really funny. Adele Martin, who's one of the co-founders, along with Fiona Schultz, she and I have bumped into each other at various things over probably the last 4 or 5 years. And we kind of connected a little while ago. She heard me speak at ZC Live 18 months ago.
Okay.
And since then, we've kind of, anyway, as she started on her own cancer journey, the impact that had on her business and her life, which was what inspired them both to start this charity to support business owners because, we know the stats. 1 in 2 of us are going to get that diagnosis at some point in our life. So if you take that statistically, it's going to either be you or me, Lucy. And
Yeah.
that's horrible when you think about that. Now, hopefully
Yeah,
it won't be either of us, but you know what I'm
well,
saying.
yeah, but it really hits home, though.
And there is no support for business owners who have had a cancer diagnosis because if that happens, you're on a journey now to whatever the ultimate end is going to be, whether that's recovery or not, and there's no support for it. And the
Mm,
stats are shocking in that 60% of business owners who get that diagnosis end up closing their business down.
yeah,
So for me and what I do and how my thing about supporting business owners, that charity is so aligned to
yeah,
to me and my ethos, what I'm all about. So it was a no-brainer for me to say, look, if you'll have me, I'd like to be a business angel.
yeah,
And that's how I got on board with that. And there's so many different ways that we can support. Adele and Fiona have set it up in such a way that it's very flexible around how you support the charity. It's not just about money. It's about giving of your time. It's buying the
mm,
sweatshirts online. This is Stitch Your Story. So anyone can go on and buy a
yeah,
t-shirt or a sweatshirt with their own quote on it. And I love that. I love wearing this
yeah,
because I could have one for every day of the week in a different colour, really. But
yeah.
so yeah, so for me, it's a really aligned cause
Mm.
for me to be part of. And I was very honoured to be asked to speak at their first
Oh, did you?
angel conference, which I did
Oh,
about 6
fantastic.
weeks ago. And about mindset. And now in the group that we have, the business angels, I'm there as kind of the mindset coach support. I post something every week to you know give people something to think about, and I love doing that. I'm actually speaking at another event, Lady to Latte that Adele
Oh,
runs.
yes.
Yeah, I'm going to be speaking at that next month.
Oh,
So yeah,
incredible.
it's all very, very aligned.
Yeah. No, it's such a fantastic charity, and I had, Michelle Newman on, and she was talking about it, and
Yeah.
yeah, I've yet to meet Adele, actually. We've spoken a bit online, but yeah,
Oh, okay. Yes.
oh,
Yeah. I mean, if you can get along to Ladies Latte, that would be a great place to meet her and have a chat. You know,
I
she is
I think I
an amazing inspiration. That woman, she really is. Mm.
no, I'm hoping to, yeah, get down there when I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So,
if you could go back in time and give some advice to your younger self, what do you think you'd say?
so many things.
I
So
know mine
many
changes
things.
every day.
Yeah. So my mum used to have a saying, bless her, things come to pass because they don't come to stay.
Oh.
So when you're in the middle of something awful, challenging situation, whether that's personal business, whatever it is, it's
Mm.
just that reminder, this is not going to stay like this forever.
Mm.
It will change. And I can help that to happen by being open to whatever that might be. And
Yeah.
knowing that just because something fails, so I'm going to put that in quotes because there really is
Yeah.
no such thing, but something didn't work out the way that I thought it would, doesn't mean that I am a failure. It
Yeah.
means it didn't work. And it
Yeah.
means it was a learning exercise to the next thing that's
Mhm.
coming. And it's not until you get old like me that you can look back and go, everything that was horrible that happened led me to something better.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think
that
that's
would
such
be
a
my thing to say, I think.
amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been brilliant talking to you. As I said, I think we could just sit here for hours. You'll have to come back and we'll do another one.
Oh, always. Very happy to do that, Lucy. It's been a pleasure. I feel like I've just talked at you, but it's
No, no, it's like my brain's kind of just like, yeah, no, yeah, I love talking with you. And also, I heard you speak at Rookie and
yeah,
telling your story, and yeah,
yeah,
brilliant.
it's good. Well, thank you, and I shall look forward to this and all listening to all the other podcasts that you do.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening or watching wherever you're absorbing this. If you want to get in touch, you can email me at lucy@crescentdigitalmarketing.co.uk. I'd love to hear from you. Please follow me wherever you are consuming this. Share it with anyone that you think might enjoy it. As always, I'm very grateful for your support. And again, a big shout out to Purple Frog Signs for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.